Hello and good afternoon, DC. Hope everyone is having a great summer. And we have a lot of great organizations joining us today. And hope you're all able to use your Uber Eats and enjoy lunch while watching this. And if you didn't get to use a code, it should be still good to use until I think Friday afternoon. And let me know in the Q&A box what you're ordering for lunch. So I'm in San Jose, California, so the Bay Area. We aren't, yeah, it's 9 a.m., so we won't be having lunch for another few hours, but we are planning on having sushi. I ordered on DoorDash the salmon California roll. That's really good. I love sashimi. Oh, I see someone ordered ramen. I'm seeing a Cobb salad and some Subway sandwiches. In California, I really love Togo's is like really my favorite. Like if I were to get like a sandwich, like a very substantial one. I'm seeing someone got a burrito and some Greek food. Mediterranean's really popular in our office. And I'm seeing pizza. Okay, awesome. And just wanted to wait another minute or so for more people to come in. And before we start that presentation, I'll be following up with an email to provide the HRCI and shroom credits. And then if you have any questions throughout the presentation, I'll do my best to check the Q&A box and get back to you as soon as possible, as these questions will be saved. And I may not be able to address the questions as they come up, but I would be able to address them in that follow-up email. And then if you do want further information, feel free to respond the email I'll be sending with the credits. And then we're also going to send a recording of the presentation you can share with your colleagues. All right, let's get started. So today we're going to talk about DC nonprofits and unemployment. And just wanted to do a quick intro of myself. My name is Janessa Ponko. I'm the membership development representative here at 501c Services. I've been in sales since 2016, selling vendor boot space at a wedding fair for 3 years and set up meetings for tech startups during the pandemic. And I've been scheduling meetings with nonprofits here at 501 since July 2023. And today is my 2-year anniversary when I first started. And the image of people bowling below me is of me and some of my sales and marketing team members. Heidi is my manager in the middle. You may work with her in the future. And then Evan is on the very right. He does our web and marketing development. And I'm really excited to be part of a company that's been helping nonprofits save money and time that can go towards furthering their mission. We're located in San Jose, California, so we're in the heart of the Silicon Valley. We're dedicated to helping nonprofits reduce unemployment expenses across the nation. And thank you again for joining to learn more about cost-effective strategies and managing unemployment in your state. So we're going to provide a broad overview on how unemployment insurance works, alternatives for 501c3 nonprofits when it comes to unemployment, how reimbursing works. We're also going to use some real life examples of nonprofits we've helped with our cost analysis, and then finally provide more information on 501c services, our company, and how many of our DC nonprofits have benefited from our services. First of all, just wanted to start off with a little history to put unemployment in perspective. Unemployment started in the US in the 1930s following the Great Depression and New Deal, where the federal government wanted to create a safety net for workers who lost their jobs through no fault of their own. From 1930 to 1972, 501c3 organizations, they didn't pay into unemployment benefits for separate employees, although they saved them money from paying these taxes. Employees that were laid off couldn't reap the benefits of that safety net that for-profit companies had provided. Now, fast forward to 1972, the federal government changed the law under the Social Security Act to where nonprofits must pay into unemployment, but they were provided different options and how they pay so that tax wouldn't be seen as an unnecessary expense for them. Unemployment is overseen on the federal level. However, each state gets to manage their own programs however they choose. So, throughout the US, you'll see different taxable wage bases, tax rates, benefit amounts. But today we're just going to cover information in DC. When it comes to management, unemployment rates can be adjusted annually and are adjusted by experience. For instance, if you have a year or two of bad claims, your tax rate will increase. And most states, including DC, run as a risk pool. So what you're putting in does not necessarily equate to what you'll get out of it. And we are seeing that a lot of nonprofits are putting more money into that pool than getting more in return. And then these total tax liabilities by employers are often greater than the claims paid, with reserves used in times of the recession. And then to calculate your tax liability, you multiply the taxable wage base by your employer tax rate. So take a guess on what a single claim can cost in DC. So feel free to put some guesses in the Q&A box. I'm seeing I got 9,000, 8,700, 10,300, 4,400, 10,000. 11,200. And just as a hint, the total cost is looking at the weekly benefit maximum times the maximum weeks someone can claim. So for DC, the maximum number of weeks is 26 weeks. I'm seeing 13,000, 14,000. All right, one more guess I see is 16,000. So the maximum amount a single person can claim in unemployment in DC can cost $11,544. Just as a caveat, this is what an employer is charged for employee benefits by the state. So those extended benefits you saw during the recession and extra COVID payments, those were covered by the federal government. So the maximum weekly benefit amount in so the maximum weekly benefit in DC is $444. When we multiply that number by 26 is how we get that $11,544 for the maximum of what a single person can claim on unemployment. The federal government sets the wage base at a minimum of $7,000 and there's no maximum. So DC's taxable wage base currently is set at $9,000. So that means for the first $9,000 an employee earns, your organization is taxed on that. So most employers in DC may pay their taxes in the first quarter, but you might see that taxes paid for after the first quarter, maybe for like seasonal employees, new hires, or employees making less than that $9,000. And then the minimum tax rate is at 2.1%. The maximum tax rate is at 7.6%, and those are both set by the state. And the last thing I want to know is the improper payment rate from the last slide, which is 22.55%. And this overpayment equates to around $60 million to former employees who are collecting unemployment from the past 3 years. And this is information that we get from the Department of Labor. You can see that DC is one of the many states that's greater than 13%. This is important to know as we really encourage you to look over your claims and make sure that you're not overpaying for anybody's claims. Here at 501, we help organizations monitor this. And if you are managing on your own, you really want to make sure that you're properly charged for a former employee's weekly benefit amount. So there are three different alternatives for unemployment. One is that you pay the state tax that we mentioned earlier, that with a tax rate that's set by the state and those taxable wages. Another option is that you can self-insure or reimburse for your unemployment, where you just pay dollar per dollar for your unemployment claims. So you're basically only paying for the benefits issued. And then the last option is kind of a hybrid of both, where you buy insurance that offers the savings of reimbursing while also providing that safety net. So just to let you know, reimbursing is not for everyone. The qualifications we look at for considering reimbursing is that an organization must be a 501(c)(3) nonprofit. So it excludes religious institutions. And then we recommend a gross annual payroll of $1 million or more, because typically if your payroll is under $1 million, especially significantly less, what you're paying into the state tax pool probably is pretty minimal, and then you might not see much significant savings by opting out. However, there are some cases where you could see potential savings. So we would be happy to look at your numbers, even if you're just slightly less than 1 million in payroll. And then we also look at a positive audit of the past 3 years. So that means in order for reimbursing to benefit you, we try to evaluate if what you paid each year in taxes exceeds what you pay in claims. And then we want to make sure that you don't have any major disruptions in funding for the next 24 months. So we do recommend to stay with the state tax system. If you know you might have anything from layoffs, reduction in workforce, losing funds, or closing programs where tax rates may go up with experience. And then you'll probably want to wait once those claims decrease. And then what it means to reimburse is that your tax rate turns to 0%, and then the state will bill you only for the unemployment claims you receive over the quarter. So it's a great way for nonprofits to save money and be a better steward of donor dollars. The process is seamless for separate employees. No matter how your employee separated, they'll still go through the same process for EDD, where the state determines their benefit amount based on their base period pay. The only change is how that quarterly bill is calculated. Instead of the paying into the state unemployment insurance tax, you're now only responsible for the charges your organization incurs. And so we work with around 1,500 nonprofits across the nation. We have several in DC. So you're probably wondering what motivates them to reimburse. In most cases, reimbursing saves money. On average, savings can be anywhere from 20 to 40% compared to paying into the state tax system. And this is really the driver for most organizations to switch. Reimbursing eliminates any concern of changes in the state tax, such as those tax hikes you can't control. And then you become a better steward of donor dollars as you just pay for your actual claims than into that state pool. And because unemployment is managed by the federal government big picture, reimbursing is allowed in all 50 states. It's best with employers with over $1 million in payroll and at least 15 or more full-time employees. If you're on the borderline, we can certainly talk, as there are sometimes circumstances where you can consider reimbursing for your organization. If you are smaller and reimbursing already, we can still consider you for our services and how we can help you reduce your risk. And so I do see in the Q&A box a question: if you're on a reimbursement basis, so if you're currently reimbursing, is this subject to the annual claim limitations as well? So I will get back to you in through email for that question. I'm not sure about the claim limitations when you transition to reimbursing. So I will ask our HR team on how that works, and also our unemployment subject matter experts. So that'll be sent to you in the follow-up email. But thank you so much for adding questions, and I'll try to get to them as soon as I can. And then another question, is that payroll amount for each run or per month? So it should be annually, your annual payroll, when we look at like if reimbursing, in the circumstance of if reimbursing, or if you should consider reimbursing, it's best if you're $1 million. So your annual payroll would be what we consider when we look into reimbursing. But I'll also send you an email at the end and also talk to my team and give you more information on that. So we're going to look at some examples, and yeah, no problem. Feel free to ask some questions throughout into the Q&A box. I'll try my best. If I don't have the answer, I will send it in a separate email as well. So I do want to talk about like how the state tax system, SUI, is calculated. And like I mentioned earlier, I'll show some real cost assessments we've done in the past. The taxable wage base is customized by each state. In DC, the taxable wage base is set at $9,000. All employers in the state pay the same taxable wage base. It represents the first $9,000 of an employee's earnings. There's no maximum and can increase or decrease by any amount each year. And then the tax rate is set annually by the state and is based on experience. To calculate the contribution amount, you'd multiply the taxable wage base by the tax rate. So for DC, it's at $9,000 times the tax rate range of like 2.1 to 7.6%. So this amount means that if each employee makes over $9,000, a company is paying in between $189 to $684 per employee in unemployment. And so what we do to get started on an assessment is that we look at your EDD tax rate notice that gives us some information to do the free cost analysis. And this tax rate notice gives us a snapshot of what you paid in unemployment compared to claims in 1 year. Ideally, our team would like to look at your last 3 years of tax rate notices for a more accurate cost analysis. Also, there's no need to understand every item on this document. We'd be happy to look over your numbers and see if there are any potential savings lying within your organization. And then I'm going to show our next two examples. They're organizations we work with in the past that have had significant overpayments, and then they eventually transition to reimbursing. So for our first example, this is a human services nonprofit we work with. The taxable payroll was just shy of $1 million, tax rate 4.7%, estimated claims only around $200 per year. And in this case, we did look at that 3-year average of claims. So they were overpaying $45,000 a year. And think of what you can do with an additional $45,000. And so for this example, the taxable payroll is around $700,000, tax rate 3.38%, estimated annual claims was around $5,900, estimated unemployment taxes were around $24,000. So they overpaid around $18,000. So a little bit more about 501c services. We were founded about 40 years ago in 1982 by a former UCP executive, John Hugstad, and he was looking for ways to save money for his organization. So he came up with the idea of starting a trust. He created the first kind of grantor trust called the Joint Unemployment Compensation Trust. It eventually became 501c Services, also 501c Agencies Trust. We started at about 25 members here in San Jose and have now grown to helping over 3,000 nonprofits in various ways. In 2016, John sold the company back to his employees, so we're now 100% employee owned. From our receptionist to the CEO, every member is committed to our company and serving our members. And then our services are valued tremendously by our members, with our company having over a 98% retention rate. And these are a couple of testimonials our members have shared. And then you can also go back to these later, as I'll send the slides along with the credits after the presentation. And this is a clip from our 40th anniversary celebration a few years ago. It includes testimonials from Monika Lund and Mike Hoffman from Start Early, Mary Sue and Michael Eady from CISC, Sandy Leota and Chris Marshall of Baltimore Center Stage, and Phyllis Austin and Jason Penniger from Boys and Girls Clubs of America.
What makes me passionate about working for a non-for-profit organization is because I knew I always wanted to work for a mission-driven organization.
Our mission is to work with immigrant communities so that they can achieve the American dream.
501 helps focus our service to the community by giving us more time.
501 helps us focus on serving our communities by providing services directly to our HR professionals.
The biggest benefit for working with 501 is really the transparency and ability to forecast our costs when it comes to our unemployment benefits.
They also keep our cash flow steady through claims that are sound and take a lot of the admin burden off of us so we can just stay on autopilot.
We're very grateful for all the support you provided over the last 4 decades, and we wish you continued success in the future.
Congratulations, 501, on your 40th anniversary. It's been a pleasure serving with you for the last 24 years.
And like I said earlier, we work with several DC nonprofits, and this is a quick snapshot of a few nonprofits here in the state and across the nation that are members. And just like you heard in the clip, we help nonprofits save time and money by relieving the administrative burdens that can come with unemployment. The first way we help nonprofits is through claims management. Our team will help you manage, audit, and protest claims. We offer unlimited access to hearing reps when you protest. And then our team has an 80% average protest win rate. And then you'll have a dedicated claims manager if you become a member of the trust. All your claims will go through this online portal where you'll be notified when a claim has been filed. And then you'll go into the portal to respond to these questions. If in any case you ever go on PTO and forget to delegate any of these unemployment tasks, it shouldn't be a problem for when a claim doesn't get responded to in several days. It gets escalated and handled. A big part of our claims management is that our team doesn't want to see your organization overpay or get hit by those DC error rates. So we can audit those charges for you or even prevent you from paying a claim when someone gets terminated. And then we want to make sure that you're managing these claims and then also have enough support to do so. So our HR services include 3 components. We offer access to unlimited HR consultations. We are a small dedicated team that can answer any of your HR related questions. So if you have an ongoing issue, you can develop rapport with the person who will support you and manage any of your HR questions. We also have trainings throughout the year that are HRCI and SHROOM certified. And then there's also an online knowledge library with our HR services. So if you do have a question and the HR services isn't there to help you, there's also a library as well in the web portal. And then with the $444 maximum weekly benefit amount or benefits here in DC, our goal is to help you keep that cost as low as possible. So if you do ever lay someone off, we have our reemployment tool. It offers packages that can range from online coaching, interview techniques, and resume writing. It's never fun to let someone go, but at least you can give them the safety net and resources to help them secure a new job faster, which in return can help your organization save more money. And then we also have our protection. It's the insurance part of our program. Most of our members take stop loss protection or for the catastrophic claims, or if they ever have any catastrophic claims. And then we also have our savings, our trust. It's kind of like a savings 101 account. This is a reserved account owned by our organization where you would save for those possible unexpected number of claims. And so I hope this sparked your interest, and maybe some of you may want to manage your unemployment through us as a reimbursing employer. If you do want to look into potential savings, what I would need from you is your 941s or estimated payroll for, obviously, estimated payroll from about 2023 to 2024. And if you are paying into the state tax system, I would need a copy of your 2025 tax rate notice. And like I mentioned before, it would be helpful to also have your 2023, 2024 tax rate notice so we can look at more additional data points for you. All right, and I saw a couple more questions popped up, and I will also send the answers to your questions in a separate email. I did see one person as anonymous, so I will try and find that person who sent a question, but I will also try and get a written form for these questions. So one person said, we use a PEO and we pay our unemployment tax on our behalf. And then they have about 1.6 in payroll costs. Do PEOs usually offer an option to move to reimburse if the math made sense? If so, is this something worth exploring with the PEO? From what my manager has told me, unfortunately, we can't work with PEOs. I think they have their own like management system. But if you do transition out of working with the PEO, then we can certainly talk. But unfortunately, at this moment, we can't work with PEOs. And I'll also write more information in a follow-up email. And then I got for the hi there, thank you for this webinar. I'm not sure if we are a member of 501c services. Is membership required for you to conduct an assessment with us? So you don't have to conduct, or most of the time when we do a free cost analysis, they're not members yet. So yes, you do not have to be a member in order to get a cost assessment with us. What I'm going to do after this presentation is send the follow-up emails with the copy of the slides, the HRCI and Shroom credits. And then also I'm going to attach a free cost assessment form for DC. And then it'll include like what you would need to provide for the cost analysis, whether you're a reimburser or if you're into the state tax system. The cost assessment will tell you like the information you need to put. Once you send that back over to me, I hand it over to my manager Heidi, and she'll create a proposal and we'll let you know the results of what you get in the cost analysis. Okay, perfect. So I got the person who asked about the payroll amount, so I will get that to you. And then this person says, we are currently on a reimbursable platform that does, but think we are overpaying, and it's been frustrating to get answers from DOES. So I'm assuming that's the unemployment services. My apologies if I got that wrong. So I will look this up with my team. And then, yeah, great. I'm glad you wanted to follow up with the free cost analysis. So that email will be sent in a couple of hours. And just let me know if you have any questions. We'll also send a recording of this presentation. You can send to other people. It'll be sent through Zoom. Oh, Department of Employment Services, yes. So I'm excited. I'll send over the cost assessment. Just let me know if you have any questions. And if you want to do a cost analysis, but also want more information, we'd be happy to set up like a quick call too, to go over like our services and any questions you may have. So Heidi would also be on that call too, to go over more information if you wanted to set up a call. And this is my contact information, and I'll stay on for about another minute or so if you guys have any questions. Otherwise, I will be creating the emails in a few hours. Thank you so much, everyone in DC, for watching, and hope everyone has a great day.